This American Cornhole special presentation is brought to you by
I did awful at my first major. Terrible, terrible. I came in last in women's. I played okay with that before, but I think I was nervous at my first major, and it just kind of went downhill. I told my husband, I said, I think I got last in women's, and he wouldn't tell me till the next day, and he said, yep, you did. But I swore I would get better after that. Right now in women's, I'm #1. I'm player of the season in women's. Cornhole, I live and breathe it. I'm addicted to cornhole.
One of the markers that makes cornhole such a universal sport is that it does not discriminate. The bags that are thrown don't care what gender you are, what color you are, or what age you are. When it comes down to it, Matt Guy probably put it best when he said, winning cornhole comes down to who can throw it the straightest. Women's cornhole in the ACO has evolved immensely since professional cornhole's inception 15 years ago. Once, this was a sport that women would get pulled into because their boyfriend or their husband played, but not anymore. We are now living in the age where women are fearless on the cornhole court, and they don't want to just beat each other, they want to take the men down too. During season 14, a few women separated themselves from the pack, no more so than Karen English and Paula Stevens. Karen English was riding as big a hot streak as any ACO player, stacking up major wins from Augusta to Tupelo and many points in between. And she was consistently crushing in the Heartland Conference. Paula Stevens, the American Cornhole Organization's women's division's most, shall we say, seasoned player, brought home quite a bit of hardware herself, winning majors in Monroeville, Foley, Alabama, and at the Greenbrier, as well as taking the Women's Virginia State Championship and the Mid-Atlantic Conference titles, while being the only women's player to capture a spot in the Corny 40. At some point during the season, it was becoming glaringly obvious that these two women were on a collision course to determine who would be Player of the Year. In what was to be a preview of the World Championship match, English and Stevens squared off in a final match of the season to determine who ended season 14 as the ACO Women's Player of the Year and the #1 seed heading into the World Championship. As we've seen throughout this World Championship special, quite often it's the most experienced player who seizes the spotlight, and this match was no different. Paula Stevens stepped up, stayed focused, and never wavered. For Karen English, it was like facing Mike Tyson for your first heavyweight match, and this is Tyson in his prime. The loss didn't keep English down, nor did Stevens allow herself to become complacent. Both came to Vegas with the goal of going home a world champion, and both were determined to reach the finals, which they did convincingly. When championship night arrived, Stevens was still the favorite, but English had bounced back from the Player of the Year match and was playing at the top of her game. Still, it's one thing to play well when you are surrounded by others during a tournament, but when you are on the greatest stage ever built for professional cornhole, Playing in the granddaddy tournament of them all, sometimes it takes nerves of steel when the spotlight is focused on you. Paula Stevens could have easily been referred to as Supergirl because she looked invincible. It seemed English was ready to get the game over with and reset herself, forgetting what happened in the first game, and her gambit seemed to work. Her nerves settled, and the second game showcased that competitive spirit everyone had been anticipating. Back and forth they went, but for each Karen English miscue, Paula Stevens made her pay. Finally, Stevens ended it and secured what is arguably one of the greatest performances in World Championship history. Karen English is one of the best players in the United States, male or female, and she will be back stronger and with more ferocity. Until then, and until any other woman comes along and knocks Paula Stevens from her throne, Paula is absolutely the top female player in the world, and no one would be surprised to see her facing Matt Guy in the World Singles Championships in Columbia, South Carolina for Season 15 supremacy. That's because Paula Stevens, Karen English, and the rest of the ACO women aren't afraid to throw like a girl